Hi, everybody. This is Holland Martin. Thanks for joining me today. And today I'm joined by new Marion High School principal, Lloyd Chip Bryant. Chip, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I bet it's been a real busy week getting things finalized and getting ready for the start of school in a couple of weeks. How's that process been?
It's really been a good process. Everybody's been helpful. They've been lending a helping hand. A very warm welcome. Just trying to get context, gather as much information as I can so I can make sure that I put my best foot forward for the students and the stakeholders.
Yes, sir. Now, you were a four-year starter for the Giants in basketball, but let's go back to the beginning. What neighborhood were you raised in?
So I grew up in Northgate Apartments. So Lyndon Jones lived a couple of rows behind us, and Derek Keys lived on the same walk as I did. But I was the young guy out of the bunch, and Fred Jones was out there as well. So we all grew up in the same neighborhood. Sorry about that. In the same neighborhood. I was a Kendall Colt. I went to Justice Middle School and then transitioned to Marion High School. I wasn't a four-year starter. I only started 2 years, junior and senior year. But definitely enjoyed my time.
Good stuff. Now, if I remember, you played 3 years for Gunn and this your senior year for Coach Green?
Yes. We played. We had Coach Gunn, then senior year with Coach Green. Coach Green, I believe, came back from the University of Indianapolis.
Yes.
That is 92.
So how was that playing with Coach Gunn?
So honestly, it was a good experience. The style of play was different. Coach Green had the matchup zone, and Coach Gunn, we did a lot of run and jump where we would put pressure on the basketball, and then the other guard or the other wing would come up and attempt to turn the point guard so we could create turnovers. Also played soccer too. So now that's where I was a 3-year starter in soccer. So, but yeah, definitely.
Now you, going back to basketball, you and Brian Walker were like the defensive guys on that team, man. Y'all hunker down and get in somebody's grill, and next thing you know, steals, layups. How was that? I know you guys were great friends too. How was that playing with your friend and dominating?
Well, man, it was a great experience. I mean, we had played together since the PAL Club. So we started the PAL Club against each other as sort of as rivals. And then as you go through the PAL Club, playing against each other. And then, you go to the boys club and you're playing at the boys club as well. And then when you get to high school, like he went to McCullough and I went to Justice. And then getting to high school, we got an opportunity to play together, him along with Orlando Small, amongst others. So it was definitely a good experience.
Let's touch on that, because that was a loaded squad. Well, pretty much all 4 years, but mainly that junior, senior year. That your junior year, you had Asbury, you had Lil John, and I think Matt Betts. I think Matt Betts couldn't play, for different reasons. But then that senior year, I think you guys went 16-4, and you and Brian are only ones to play every game that year, if I can remember. And just talk about that junior. It was the junior year with last year with Gunn, and your senior year with Coach Green.
We didn't have a lot of experience our junior year. So going into the junior year, I think the only guys that really had a lot of varsity experience were Orlando and Bryant. And so coming into that year, going into the Wigwam, going into Richmond, going into Newcastle, going into those different environments, sometimes you can become wide-eyed. Anderson Highland was good during that time frame.
Randy
Zachary and Kojak was at Anderson. So, and then Billy Wright was at Richmond. And so, some of us were wide-eyed.
Yes.
So we took our lumps our junior year, but we came back our senior year prepared with the new coaching philosophy, with more of a zone type philosophy our senior year, but with the more of a freewheeling opportunity to score the basketball, which we weren't accustomed to before. We used, like you said earlier, we got our points a lot off of defense.
Yes, sir.
And then our senior year, Coach Green was like, "You guys can go ahead and do what you need to do." So it was a lot of fun.
It's good stuff, man. And if I can remember, like you said, Randy Zachary at Highland, Kojak, Prince, all those guys at Anderson. And if I can remember, your senior year, Kojak, that was the game where Bryant stole the ball at the end, and you guys won. That was big time. I think you got 5 points in that game. But
it was a pretty rough night for me. But I had a pretty tough responsibility. I had to guard Kojak the entire game, and so it was definitely a tough night.
First half, he didn't get cooking. Now, third quarter, that boy got to cooking, man. I think Kyle Kirby hit a couple threes early, keep y'all in it, and then Kojak turned that thing on in the third, and it was. I remember it like, man, good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, he's one of the best guards that I've seen come through.
Yes.
In a long time. I know I haven't been in Indiana in a while, so I haven't seen a lot of guys from the late 90s through recently. But in my era, Kojak was a tough cover in the high school basketball, man.
And you were a defensive player, but you also could play offense as well. I was kind of looking at some of the stats. You had 18 points against Blackford, 15 against Warsaw, 15 against Madison Grant. But I think you guys have played Middletown against big J.J. Lucas, big 6'10" dude. You got 21 points in that game. Do you kind of recall that game? Can you kind of go back and do you remember that game at all?
Definitely. So we played in a shootout in Indianapolis. I think it was the inaugural Midwest shootout that I guess they continue to play now. And we had an opportunity to play Middletown, Ohio. Yeah. And our guard play, we had some pretty quick guard. We were pretty quick at the time. And so we put a lot of defensive pressure on. And during that, we were able to get some easy opportunities where we were able to shoot the gap, get some steals, get some easy buckets, which then translated to us being able to get in the flow on the offensive end.
Yes.
Which led us to be able to pull away a little bit early. They fought back late. But but early on, we had such a lead at that point, it was going to be difficult for them to come back on us at that time. But it was definitely a good night. Generally speaking, I was a team guy. So I always wanted to make sure that we got everybody involved. It's sort of the way I was taught to make sure that my teammates and everybody got in the flow. We were a pretty balanced attack. If you think about the guys that were on the team, we had like 3 or 4 starters that averaged double figures. And so it was definitely a balanced attack.
And like you said, you guys had Lando Small down low. I think that senior year, Jody McCain was a freshman. Kind of didn't play until the Anderson game on, but he was still kind of there. Larry Mitchell could shoot. Pretty good team, if I can recall. So, that's pretty good stuff. So was that 21 your career high?
I think it was Ben Davis. I think I like 26, 28 or something like that. We lost that game, so it doesn't really matter how many I scored. But yeah, it was definitely a couple of games that I did pretty well. Yeah. Ben Davis and Middletown were my two games that were my highs.
But you also had Coach Colescott was a assistant coach on that team. I think Mr. McDowell was the JV coach. Can you talk about maybe some of those stories, maybe the bus rides, some things that people may find interesting, just some of the stories, because there's some big time coaches there your senior year.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, first of all, they had so much experience
Mhm.
that it was like they already had us prepared for everything that we were going to encounter.
Yes.
Coach Cole Scott was a wealth of knowledge,
Hmm.
always had us in the right position, and always
Yes.
was very encouraging
Hmm.
to us, along with Coach Green and Coach McDowell.
Yes.
Um, they were positive influences. They made sure that we were doing the things that we needed to do
Hmm.
to be in the position that we're in today, as far as academically,
Yes.
as well as athletically. So
Hmm.
definitely take my hat off to the coaching staff, the community, who it takes a village. So
Yes.
they all played a part in the growth and maturation of not only myself but others who are
Hmm.
all doing well today.
So now let's ease away from the high school. What was your recruiting process like going into college?
So I wasn't highly recruited at all.
Hmm.
It was a gentleman that worked with my mother at the VA Medical Center,
Okay.
Mr. Simon. He
Hmm.
had played in the CIAA, and he would come to Marion games.
Hmm.
And he contacted, initially it was Norfolk State.
Hmm.
So Norfolk State started to contact, but by the time Mr. Simon had gotten there, they
Hmm.
had their eye on another point guard because
Okay.
at the time. So, but they contacted Hampton,
Hmm.
and Hampton um, began to contact, and so it was a match made in heaven, and the rest was history. And so
H
I headed in the direction of Hampton University.
Yes. HBCU, big time on the
Yes,
East
sir.
Coast. Yes, sir. So being at Hampton really just opened your mind to what the
Yeah,
possibilities could be.
yeah, it really did. It really did, and it showed me like my professors were some influential professors, Dr.
Yes.
Watson. Um, he really pushed me and always said that you're brilliant. It was the
Yes.
first time that someone said that I was brilliant and my way of thinking wasn't wrong and that I could do anything that I put my mind to.
Everything.
So, coming from Kendall, where in the third grade, I would get done with my work really quickly. And
Hmm.
so I would play around the rest of the time, right,
Yes.
in class. So immediately they want to say that you're a special needs student,
Hmm.
even though my IQ was really high.
Yes.
They wanted to calm me down. So if
Hmm.
you know anything about Lloyd Bryant or my mother, she wasn't having that.
And I think these last, I don't know, few years, kids kind of get corralled into that area, special education area. And it may be just hyperactivity. It may be, some other conditions that may not be a negative. But like you said, they kind of put them in the SPED category, and sometimes good things don't happen with that.
Well, see, there's certain things you can do with that. So if you have a hyperactive student, you can put his gym class first period.
Hmm.
You can get them run. You can let them go out and run the track,
Yes.
get some of that excess energy out. Now they come into the classroom second period and they're ready to go. So there's all kinds of things and strategies, different things that you can do to combat things before you're starting to label students that
Yes.
carry on with them throughout high school.
Strategic scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that makes total sense. So let's go back into Hampton. So what was your major?
My major was history education. Yeah, so I loved history. Once I started learning my
Yes.
about my culture, I
Yes.
just kept wanting to feed myself
Hmm.
with it. And so then when I kept going, I was like, okay, I can either do law school or
Hmm.
I can do education. And so I enjoyed education. I felt like I wanted to be a coach, which I
Yes.
eventually got an opportunity to do.
Hmm.
And so I did history education where I started out teaching middle school
Hmm.
at George Washington in Indianapolis Public Schools. And then
Okay.
things happen, love gets you to leave. And so I fell in love and moved to DC. And I kept teaching James Madison Middle School at the time. And then
Hmm.
I went to Frederick Douglass High School teaching. And then I had an opportunity to be a leader. And so I became an assistant principal at Dunbar Senior High School. after Dunbar is equivalent of the Crispus Attucks of Indianapolis.
Okay.
So if you think about that,
Yes.
Dr. Charles Drew went to Dunbar. So if you think about Crispus Attucks, think about Dunbar being the equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
So it aligned with what I've been learning at Hampton.
Okay.
And so I did pretty well. I became one of the top APs in the district. And so they put me in the prestigious Mary Jane Patterson Fellowship for aspiring leaders. And I became a principal at Anacostia Senior High School.
That is
and
awesome.
So was a principal. Then I came home where I became the director of principal development in IPS. And I went back to DC in the last 2 years for personal reasons, family reasons. And
yes,
now I'm ready to come home and I'm here for good.
That's awesome, Chip. What do you think about implementing maybe a crypto course at the high school? Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, things of that nature.
So,
the next level.
So those kinds of things would fall under financial literacy.
Okay.
So there are a plethora of financial literacy programs, and it goes back to what you said earlier, where you talked about teaching kids how to pay bills on time and those things, which then leads up to the stock market, right? Yes. And so embedding a financial literacy course inside of potentially maybe a CTE program or incorporating an econ would be viable options. But initially starting out, I'm going to take my time and observe. There'll be some things that I want to address immediately. I have about 7 things, and if I was in my office, I'd be able to list them to you. But there are about 7 things that I'm looking at right now that I'll address immediately. But there's a lot of great work going on in Marion High School.
It is.
You guys
it really
are doing a phenomenal job. It really is. Like, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And a new set of eyes sometimes is good, but it's in no way to take away from the work that's been done prior to.
Yes.
The first thing I'll do when I address the staff is pay homage to the work that's already been done.
Now, there is, if I'm not mistaken, an alumni softball game coming up. What other activities, alumni activities possibly, could there be? I know the last time we had a pretty much an alumni event was 2016. And, we had, it was everything. It was basketball, football, baseball, tennis, and a lot of the teachers won. I just want to say that. A lot of the alumni and the adults won. But I thought that was so good. Then I caught wind of that a softball alumni game. I thought, we need to do another football one,
Yeah.
So, or everything. I'm definitely open. Obviously, it's my first week back. So, but I'm definitely open to a lot of events. The only thing I worry about is the liability piece. But other than that, we can sign waivers and make sure we're not liable. I'm definitely open to having events that are bringing folks back. I even thought about, because we'll have back to school night and we'll have freshman orientation. And so what I was thinking was maybe we could potentially have our alumni who are business owners come back and set up tables and be vendors for freshman orientation. So those individuals who own restaurants and do different things such as Culinary Crave and Rob's Kitchen and those restaurants. And I'm just naming the ones that I've heard of off the top of my head. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but just inviting those folks back so our students can be exposed to, look, our alumni, not only are we in academia, not only are we in the workforce, we've got entrepreneurs, we've got business owners, we've got a variety of folks there, which may spark some interest. So let's talk about the future. The future for Chip Bryant at Marion High School.
Well, hopefully I foresee us increasing our letter grade every year.
Yes, sir.
I foresee students going off to college and career
Mhm.
at an astounding rate. I see families being engaged in the educational process for their students.
Mhm.
I see us meeting the needs of our students and stakeholders.
Yes.
I foresee us um, sending student athletes to college. I see us um, getting healthy, exercising,
Yes.
making sure that we understand that health is wealth. Um,
Come on, man. I
I
say that
believe
every day.
I believe that the sky is the limit.
It really
Honestly, the
is.
sky is the limit. It really is. The Marion community is a phenomenal one, and I'm just ecstatic about being back to try to support in any way I possibly can. And one skill set that I do have is leading in education.
That's it, baby. And like, again, we said before, it's all about the kids, the youth,
Yep.
making them successful adults. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Teaching them the life skills they're going to need before the world balls them up and spits them out.
Yep.
I am so on that of teaching life skills, articulation. It's just so important. Being able to navigate in a world that it's not easy. But just add on to this. Talk about the importance of kids leaving Grant County to see the real world and then coming back. How important was that for you to leave Grant County and see how the real world works and then able to come back?
It was interesting because my entire circle did that. And now I'm returning, and now they're talking about returning. So I'm hoping this all comes full circle and we can do some amazing work. I think it was important for me just around exposure, learning about myself. My mother was a very strong woman. She was a phenomenal mom. I mean,
yes,
goes without saying. She put me in the best with my sister and I in great positions to be successful in life. And it was our job. I mean, we can make decisions, either bad ones or good ones going forward, but she did her part. But moving far enough away from her where she didn't have her thumb on me as much
yes,
was something good for me.
We are so proud to have you back, an alumni coming back to lead the troops. I wish you luck. I'm here whenever you need me. Just a phone call away, just a text away. I'll be in the dungeon like we talked about, so maybe we can get some things going. But I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you got so much stuff going on before school starts in a couple of weeks, but I want to thank you again, Chip, taking the time out to just chat with us about coming back home, Marion, the future, and I think really going to do good here, man. I know it. I know for a fact. But thanks again for coming to join us.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Always, brother. All right, yes, Chip. We'll talk to you again soon, and have a good one. God bless.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Bless you.
Yes, sir.